What's going on, guys? Shonen Express here, delivering to you my weekly manga highlights. So before we get started, I want to let you guys know that unfortunately, the last video I put up, my top 10 fire abilities in manga and anime, was unfortunately taken down. I used a clip that I shouldn't have used, and so it got copyright struck. That's my bad, it's on me. But I probably won't re-upload that video and fix it. I might remake it later in the future, but for now, we're just going to keep going. I have another video planned for this week. It's one of my letters from home videos, so I'm really excited about that and to share that with you guys. But for now, let's get into the highlights here. So first up, the first manga that I want to talk about is chapter 246 of My Hero Academia. I don't talk about My Hero all that much just because it hasn't been that interesting to me. Since the villain arc ended, it hasn't been all that entertaining to me. But I think that we are ramping up into something good. So there's a couple things I want to discuss. First of all is Hawks. I think Hawks is a really cool character. I think he's one of maybe the most interesting and dynamic characters that My Hero Academia has put out yet. I think that, as far as his ability goes, it's very versatile, it seems. We learn this chapter he can sense things with his feathers and kind of hear conversations and pick them up. That's cool. It's very versatile, the powers that he has. But on a personal level, I think it's interesting that he is undercover on both sides. So he is working with the Liberation Army, which we know is the villain organization. But he's also working specifically with Endeavor to let the heroes know what's going on too. I think his character is interesting. I really do think he's a hero and that he's working against the Liberation Army and not for them. But I do think that the dynamic is really interesting to look at as he's kind of the inside man. And working with Endeavor, which is the next thing I want to talk about. I'm not loving Endeavor. I think that Endeavor is interesting, but I don't think he's that interesting. He is just kind of a meathead, it seems like. Not a whole lot of thought or intentionality behind his actions. He literally just sees a bad guy and hits it with fire, in his case, not with just All Might's power. But that seems to be kind of the extent of Endeavor. And I think that him and Hawks working together will bring a cool vibe to that plan. But Endeavor's not the smartest bulb in the patch, it doesn't seem like. And so Hawks is trying to lay it on really thick to get him to read the message in the Liberation Army manifesto. But Endeavor's kind of getting it. He does get it. He does go home and figure it out. But at the same time, I'm not loving what's happening with Endeavor. But moving on to what really matters in this chapter, we are gearing up. Todoroki, I'm sorry, not Todoroki. Shigaraki, Tomura Shigaraki, is going through some kind of ability enhancer or transfer. I'm not quite sure, but he's becoming stronger. So we're about to see Shigaraki go to an even stronger level. We already see personality-wise, he is much more serious. He's not messing around anymore. He's in it. And so we're gonna see him get stronger. But also, we see that the last, I think, 4 pages, 2 pages, whatever you want to call it, of this chapter was just a side-by-side of the heroes working out what's going on. I think that we're finally at the point in this manga where the kids of UA are finally going to do something that is more hero-like. We're going to leave the school environment, the academia environment, if you'll go with me on that one. We're going to leave that environment and really, really fight a hard-fought battle. I think people are going to be lost here. I don't think it's going to go entirely well for everybody, but I think that we are gearing up for war in My Hero Academia, and that's why I thought it was interesting enough to highlight this week. I think that we're gearing up for war. The Liberation Army on one side and the Hero Association on the other side are gonna go to war, and I think it's coming really soon. So that's why I thought chapter 246 was interesting and worthy enough to highlight this week. The next chapter I want to talk about is chapter 20 of Beast Children. Beast Children is one of the new manga that I read. As you can tell, it's only 20 chapters long. I definitely encourage you to read this manga, especially if you like sports manga. It's a good sports manga. Or if you like the sport of rugby outside of manga. it's interesting, and if I'm sure that if I understood the sport of rugby a little more, I would be able to even get some more out of this manga than I already can. But even without that understanding, it's really good. So anyway, read Beast Children. That's kind of beside the point. Chapter 20 this week was interesting to me. Interesting enough to make my highlights list because we got a little more about Itsuki Onotaro. So the hero figure, the guy who sent our main character, Sakura Shishigaya, on his quest to play rugby. We got some more info about him and how he died specifically. He was really cool. He knew he was dying clearly and decided anyway to continue to play rugby, and he died literally on the rugby field. And so I thought it was really cool to see his death. I really liked seeing that. But what I want to focus on in this highlight is the different reactions between his son, Yukito, Itsuki, I would imagine is his last name, and Sakura Shishigaya, the main character of the show. Because it did two very different things to these people. And I want to start with Yukito. Yukito is the main rival of the series, and that's clear. But he's also the son of Onotaro Itsuki, right? So Yukito's dad dying caused him to become colder. He viewed rugby as a sport that must be done with precision. And so that's what he does. On the field, he says, when I'm on the field, only the people on the field are going to matter. Only if you're in the lines do you count. And so he wanted to beat his dad, but his dad died. And so his reaction is, I'm giving up. I don't care. He's not on my radar anymore. Only the living can be on my radar. Only those who keep getting back up can stand here. And so he goes for a precision mindset. Whereas Sakura, our main character, views that death as heroic and actually wants to emulate it. Sakura isn't about precision, he's about endurance. And that's why this chapter, I believe the actual title of the chapter is Gets Back Up Again or something. And so we see Sakura continue to get up. He got badly injured a couple chapters ago and had to switch out for a couple plays, but now he's back in the match. And we see Yukito say to himself, he keeps getting back up again. This is impressive. And we see the shattering of the glass, which was a very cool way to show this from an art perspective, behind Yukito as Sakura walks back onto the field. And it's Sakura that keeps getting back up and emulates Yukito's dad much more than Yukito himself does. So I thought this was an interesting kind of relationship and one that I definitely wanted to highlight this week. The third highlight I have for you this week is Chapter 22 of Samurai 8, The Tale of Hachimaru. Now, I know when I started this highlight thing, I said that I wasn't going to put too many Samurai 8s up here, but this chapter was too good. Last week it made it, but this week it made it too. This chapter was really good. Chapter 22 was one of the best Samurai 8 chapters I think that we've gotten to date, and so I had to talk about it. This chapter didn't focus on Hachimaru as much, but instead focused on Anne's brother. I don't think that they're actually blood related, but she had an older brother when she was a child, right? And he protected her from bullies. His name was Nanashi, and that Nanashi actually means like the worthless ones or trash person or something. But he turned that into his name because he didn't have a name, and so he said, "My name is Nanashi," meaning like 7 dreams, I think, or seven desires maybe. And I thought that this was interesting. He had the symbol for 7 on his back, and Kishimoto does this. And I know he's not the artist for this for Samurai 8, but he did this in Naruto too with Nawaki and Naruto, right? When we're dealing with Tsunade, where he puts the silhouettes of them and they slowly converge together, right? That's what he did with Nanashi and Hachimaru. It was very interesting to see Nanashi. He was very much similar to Hachimaru in personality, it looks like. He wasn't that physically strong, but he was so confident. And he knew that he had to protect his sister Anne. And so, out of that, he continued to fight with these people. And specifically, what was really sad this chapter was his death. Nanashi tries to become a samurai to protect Anne. And so to become a samurai, and this is where the power system in Samurai 8 is a little kind of confusing to me, but Nanashi, so to become a samurai, you have to, with resolve, commit seppuku with this special blade in this temple. So he does that, but it doesn't work. He doesn't have the resolve, and he dies. And we see then him converging with Hachimaru, who says, as he says, I guess I have 8 desires. And Hachimaru just literally means 8, with the Maru suffix ending of the name. So we see the combining of who Nanashi is into who Hachimaru is, and how Anne is able to take that feeling that she had for Nanashi and transfer it to Hachimaru in an explainable way. Now, I think that there's more to Nanashi here. If I know Kishimoto, I know that Nanashi's not done yet. I don't think he's alive, but I think he might be the basis for the cloning project that produced the other 7 samurai who are Hachimaru's brothers. I think he might be the basis for that. I think Hachimaru's dad might have taken Nanashi's body or something to recreate it, because they look very similar. And that 7 motif is there. I think we're going to get more there, but as for now, I thought Anne's brother's story was very interesting. Nanashi's story was very interesting. And I love how it coincides with Hachimaru's story. I love when Kishimoto did that in Naruto, and I love it here too. So that's why I had to highlight Samurai 8 this week. All right. The next highlight is Dr. Stone, chapter 125. Dr. Stone is another manga I don't talk a whole lot about, but this chapter I had to talk about. So first of all, the art was incredible, this chapter. If I'll find some pictures and put them up here to kind of show you what I'm talking about. But the art was absolutely incredible this chapter. Dr. Stone always has good art, but the way that Boichi was able to kind of stylize the themes going on here was amazing. Also, Kinro's reaction to Ginro's death, his brother's death. Well, death, because he's not really dead. He could come back to life. But Kinro's reaction was incredible. He just immediately understands what he has to... Understands, first of all, that Ginro is dead. He thought he was dead. And then he immediately understands what he has to do and takes it upon himself to do it in the coolest thing ever. Kinro might have become my favorite character this chapter because that was so epic, the way that he approached that situation. So I really like it. But Kinro was awesome this chapter. Also, the last kind of thing I have is, our plan is fully in motion, so we're getting to the action part of this arc. I'm ready for that. But also, when the Black Hoods are coming, we see Kinro in front, because again, he's the spear guy. We have to have a spear guy there. We see Senku is there, and we see 2 others. Now, I know that one of them has to be the police officer. I'm forgetting his name right now, but the police officer who has the gun to fight off Mose, right? And then I think the other one is Chrome, I'm sorry. If that is the 4, all hands are on deck, right? If Senku and Chrome are out there in the field, then we are sparing no one to get this job done. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting that they are all out there. This plan has got to work, or it's not going to go well at all. I think that this plan will work. I think we're going to get the petrification weapon, and we're going to do some science stuff to figure out how it works. And I'm very excited to get those answers. That's what excited me about this arc when it first started, when we were first going to the island here, was the fear that exists about this weapon and someone intentionally using it. Unfortunately, I wasn't as satisfied with who was using it, but it's not over yet. Arc's not over yet, and so we'll see what's going on with the rest of the arc here. But I loved this chapter. I definitely thought it was worth highlighting. And the last highlight I have for you today is chapter 617 of Kingdom. Now, Kingdom, for some reason, feels like a relatively underrepresented manga in the manga community, at least here in the West. Kingdom is a great manga. I love historical manga already, and Kingdom is one of those, like the historical fiction kind of mangas. I love those kind of mangas, which Kingdom fits. So I really like Kingdom, but this week's chapter was interesting. So was last week's, but we didn't get to talk about that. But that's okay, because this week's was phenomenal. So Moten is my favorite character in Kingdom. He got a lot of spotlight this time. He, not only last week did he injure Baranji, but this week actually was able to survive that conflict, which is incredible. Moten is an incredible fighter. It blew my mind. It blew my mind that he was able to do that. And he's an incredible leader. He is leading the men to protect Osen, and I think that it's going to work. I don't think Osen is going to get hit this arc. I think that we're going to win here. This is the first time in this whole war with Riboku that I felt that Chin could win. And it wouldn't seem like fake. I think that we have a real victory here. And the other huge thing is Karyoten. So Karyoten has been a staple since literally chapter 1 or 2 of this manga, and we are on 617. So she has been part of this manga from the very beginning as the strategist, right? She is an amazing strategist, keeping the Haishin unit together, and she has been shot with 2 arrows. First of all, how epic is it that she gets shot in the shoulder while running away, falls off the horse, and then, as the arrows are coming in, she blocks it with her hand. She gets shot in the hand and moves it away so that she doesn't get hit in the head. Karyoten's amazing. Her ability to defend herself has been amazing thus far, but we see at the end, we get the ambiguous splash of blood. Is it Karyoten? Did Karyoten die? I don't think so. I don't think Karyoten's going to die, but it's very suspenseful and very interesting to talk about, and definitely deserves being highlighted this week, that Karyoten could be dead now, which would leave the Haishin unit absolutely devastated. So that was my highlight for Kingdom this week. I definitely think it deserves a spot on this list. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked anything I had to say, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I bring you manga videos every single week, so I'd love for you to be one of my subscribers. And if you had anything to say about any of these manga that I mentioned here, please leave it down in the comment section. Or if you have anything to say about any of the other manga that I read every week, leave it down in the comment section as well. I'll leave a list of the manga that I'm currently reading in the description of this video, just so you know what manga I am reading. I'd love to talk to you about any manga that came out this week. If you thought something should be on my highlights that wasn't, please let me know. I'd love to talk about that. But for now, this is Shonen Express, signing off.